Every economic expert we had on, we have the experts on who are right, not the ones that lie. Mainstream ones aren't dumb, they're lying to you. We told you the dollar was going to plunge, gold was going to explode, and the Dow was going to plunge as soon as they upped the debt limit. We're being maneuvered into financial slavery. The Dow's down 350 points, plunging, total fear is the CNN headline. We're going to be getting into some more of this news throughout the hour, obviously, as it develops. This is all part of an orchestrated program. And no puppet George Bush, Barack Obama, or Mitt Romney is going to save you. It's the Federal Reserve or us. It's the king, dragon rulers of this system. They have to come down, not their puppets. Now, Prodigy of Mobb-Deep, legendary icon of hip-hop and rap, is our guest, really exposing the Illuminati program. And we were getting into, folks, coming to him and saying, we're trying to wake up, folks, and they're not listening. It's because they're following a false mirage, a false culture sold to them by the social engineers. But the good news is we're beginning to break through. And one of the most common questions I get is, get Prodigy on. He's talking about stuff you're talking about. So here he is, sir. And you got cut off by the break. This is a short segment. You were talking about people have to want it. And then let's get into your view on the Illuminati and who's running this system.
Yeah, so, like I was saying, it's hard to get people to listen and to get people to want to change. They got to want that change on their own. That'll never happen. You can't force somebody to want to change their life and change their way of thinking to understand what's really going on, that they've been manipulated. Their parents and their grandparents have been manipulated. It's hard to break somebody out of that spell, and their way of thinking and their belief system. You know what I mean? Because they're in a comfortable space where, it just shatters their whole entire world, and their way of thinking. It hurts so much. It's way too comfortable for them to just stay the way they are. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like Neo in The Matrix when Morpheus gives him the red pill, and he goes, look, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a difficult thing, and I found that real challenging, growing up and dealing with the environment that I come from, that street world where, it's a lot of knuckleheads, It's real difficult to reach them, So, I had to learn the hard way that, I just sit back and the people that are around me that notice what I'm all about and the things that I learn and, the things that I put in my music a lot. And those that want that change in their life, they'll come to me. I don't even have to find them. You know what I mean?
How did you begin to awaken?
I mean, it was about 1989. I went to high school in Manhattan. I went to art and design, where I met my music partner, Havoc. You know what I mean? And back then they used to have these tables out in the street on random corners in like Queens and Manhattan, Bronx and Brooklyn, all the 5 boroughs or whatever. They used to have these tables, and it was like Muslim guys selling books. You know what I mean? Or they looked like they were Muslim to me. You know what I mean? Because they had on the garb, the hats, and the whole get up or whatever. So I used to stop at the tables and I used to buy this coconut oil because it smelled. I like how it smelled. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
stay there. Let's come back. We've got Prodigy of Mobb-Deep on with us right now. Long segment coming up, and also. Prodigy, when we come back, let's plug all your websites and things. There's so many of them. Legendary Grammy Award-winning rapper who goes right back to the start of all the big superstars we have today. He was getting into his awakening, and he started to, you'd gotten to the point of talking to folks selling books on the street. Please continue.
Yeah, so there was this guy named Dr. York. He had a community in Brooklyn called the Ansar Law community. And basically he had his people out in the street selling books, and the Muslim oils and different things like that, like incense and stuff like that. So I used to stop at the table to pick up this coconut oil because I liked how it smelled, because the girls liked it. So at the table, they would sell these books written by Dr. York. You know what I mean? And there was a book. The first books that I read were books on like the holidays. One book was about Christmas. One was about Easter, and it showed like the origin of these pagan, evil holidays. So I picked it up, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Because they had the Christmas book had the Santa Claus looking like Satan on the cover. It was just like strange. I never saw nothing like that before. I was only like 16. So I picked up the book, and I started getting into it, and I started learning who Dr. York is and what he's about and the stuff that he teaches. And then I started reading a lot of his books. And I realized that, this dude was basically teaching, people, especially black people, about our origin and where we come from and how we have a great history in this world and how we were, like, basically brainwashed, and soul-washed of all of our history and of who we are and everything.
Well, that's right. If you go back to Roman times, no one looked at and said black men were inferior. I mean, that wasn't even, debated or discussed, and you can lay out your historical review. But what really, from my research, you go back 500 years ago, they wanted to start this transatlantic slave trade, and they had indentured servants who were white in Europe, but they said, hey, we can use Bible passages and distort them, dealing with Ham and Cain and Abel, and say that these people deserved to be slaves, and it actually took some selling, but because the sailors themselves from Europe were mainly pressed and slaves on the ships, if you actually research it, I mean, most of them were captured and put on the ships to run them. That's why there were so many people breaking off and becoming pirates, that then they sold that idea, and that really is an idea that didn't exist till, 500 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. They flipped it in a lot of the Bible, so-called Bible stories and all that, or whatever. So, Dr. York was just putting it out there, and really, exposing it to the world, and sharing the information with everybody and accepting everybody also. No matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, he was teaching that this is information that need to be, that needs to be put out there, needs to be learned, that can help save your soul.
When did you start learning about the Illuminati? Because you told me you've seen the Obama deception, the radio show. I said, well, what's your favorite clip? And you said the Bohemian-Grove, the David Gergen situation.
Yeah. I mean, through his books, through Doc books, that's how I learned about it. That's how I bumped into it. Because, it all coincides with each other. Once you start learning the origin of things and you start learning, the background of things, or what's going on, you're going to stumble on this word Illuminati, and you're going to stumble on, the whole diabolical plan and the whole grand scheme of things of what's happening, you know what I mean? So that's how I bumped into it. And then, later on, years down the line, I started doing research I'm like, this is too unbelievable. The information that I was learning was like too incredible. You know what I mean? So it forces you to do your own research. It forces you, like back then, there wasn't no internet when I was growing up. You know what I mean? So I had to go to the library, you know what I mean, and check books out.
That's what I did, the exact same thing. So you've been awake for close to 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been learning ever since I was like 16. I've been learning, doing research. So, I'm 36 now. You know what I mean? So that's about, 20 years. You know what I mean? I've been really doing my research, you know what I mean, and studying this whole thing. So I started in the libraries, finding old books and just passing around information that used to get passed around the street, like different VHS videotapes that a lot of the people that I knew in the street life, like a lot of my criminal friends, they weren't all just just dumb criminals running around. A lot of them were very intelligent. You know what I mean? A lot of them.
Well, that's the economy, like they say in The Godfather, that for 100 years, they've been shipping the illegal contraband into those black neighborhoods to make that the zone where it was acceptable. So people say, oh, look, these people are criminals. Well, the point is that's the economy that was set up there by the system.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. And it's a you know, it's a stereotypical thing that people look at us like, oh, whatever, he's just or whatever, you know what I mean? But anyway, a lot of my friends, you know what I mean, we would pass around information to each other, videotapes of like, I think it was called Illuminati-2000, it was this crazy show that we used to watch, and it had, I forget the guy's names on there.
Anthony Hilder?
Yeah, exactly. Anthony Hilder, and the other guy with the glasses,
Ted Gunderson. Ted Gunderson, he just died over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Jordan Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
They used to be on those tapes a lot with Anthony Hilder. So we used to watch those. We used to pass them around, and this is how we got more into it. We like, damn, I started seeing these tapes. I'm like, hold up. This is the same thing that Dr. York was talking about. So the dots started connecting. You know what I mean? When the internet came around, I would you know, research all the things that I was learning from Hilda, Maxwell, York, and from everybody. And then I bumped into your information, you know, Alex Jones. And I'm like, wow, everybody is saying the same thing. You know what I mean? It got to be real. You know what I mean?
And we'll look at Skull and Bones. ABC got footage. They're worshiping Satan, doing mock human sacrifices. Then I go into Bohemian Grove. Here are the Christian conservative leaders and corporate leaders worshiping a big stone owl and bringing male prostitutes in. And people are like, oh, let them have fun. The point is they're not who they say they are out in the public. Yeah,
they're doing all this ritualistic murder and rituals on little... You know, they molesting little kids, doing satanic sex rituals. Like, this stuff is really going on in this world. Like, you know what I mean? You got, you know, sick people like Jeffrey Dahmer and different people like that. And I believe that it was a different background to it, of why he was doing what he was doing. I think it was some ritualistic things going on.
Absolutely. You know, they set him up as one of their little ghouls. They always have their Renfields or their Igors, who are their minion servants. Then look, it's now come out in the Chicago Tribune that Halliburton and DynCorp run giant child kidnapping rings. Guess who runs most of the private CPS grabbing? DynCorp. And then they get caught in Europe and Asia running little kidnapping rings. Well, they just do it out in the open here and take your kids, and then you don't know where they go. I mean, it came out in CNN in Florida 5 years ago. Thousands of children missing. And they found a bunch of them dead. Nobody gets in trouble. Just like they're dealing the drugs. I want to talk about that with Prodigy, Mobb-Deep on the other side of this break. We'll give you his websites, tell you about his new book as well. Stay with us.